Today, we're carving a spoon out of black walnut. I'll be placing my workpiece between two pieces of scrap wood on my bench that will be cinched against the bench dogs with my bench vise. This will give me a strong and stable platform to work from. I'm going to use a gouge with a number 7 sweep. It's only 20 millimeters wide because a larger gouge is going to encounter even more resistance from this black walnut, which is a very hard wood, and it's already hard enough to push the gouge through the wood, retaining control and avoiding tear out. I think I'm going to reach for my mallet and hammer this gouge through the surface of this wood that is fairly hard, just to establish the shape of the bowl and remove some of this wood on top. And after I see how things are going with the grain, I may try again just pushing the gouge through. Now, right where I'm carving this bowl, there are grains that come from different directions and kind of meet, and this does create some headache as far as trying to avoid tear out is concerned, but we'll work with it for a while and see what we need to do. Okay, I think I'm far enough along now that I'll be able to push the gouge through the remaining wood that I need to remove. I'll take it easy and try to be careful and avoid tear out, but right now, since I'm not at depth and I have a way to go, I'm not going to be that careful. The grain kind of sweeps around inside the bowl in a circular pattern, and on this side of the bowl I can cut across the grain fairly well, and from the tip of the spoon back I can cut along the grain fairly well and get nice smooth shavings. But as I come around this side of the bowl toward the back and center, that's proving to be the difficult area. The wood doesn't want to cut, and instead it wants to pull out, tear out, lift out, and these can create holes and tears into the wood that are deeper than I actually want my bowl to be. So I'll have to be careful right here, and I'll try turning the blade and slicing around those fibers just to avoid tear out. If you watch closely, you'll be able to see and hear where the blade of the gouge cuts smoothly across the grain or with the grain, and where it wants to tear out the wood instead. The beautiful thing about a nice sharp gouge with an outside bevel is that you can use that bevel to create a graceful cut just by lowering the handle and raising the blade up kind of in a rocking motion on that bevel. And this affords you the control you need to get a smooth cut. Feeling like I'm about halfway through with the carving that I want to do on this bowl, and I'm starting now to take less aggressive cuts and to concentrate on the ridges and scallops and trying to smooth those out. I'm also being more careful in that lower center of the bowl where I'm running into difficulty with the grain to try to avoid any more tear out. As you can see, I'm taking smaller, shallower cuts. trying to keep things smooth. Think how much more I could get done in a day if I could actually work this fast. I'm going to try, just for grins, using my curved carving knife. You can see that this has a blade on one side, and it's a pretty good sweep and curve in the blade, which I can use to help me shape the round sides and bottom of the bowl. And because the blade's only on one side, I can actually use a finger to push from the back side of the blade and make sure that I have the control I need just to cut the wood fibers and shavings that I want to cut. I'm going to work with this knife to further shape and refine the bowl of the spoon, and I'll do this up until the point where I think I'm ready to go for my curved scraper. And with that, I will continue to refine the curved sides and bottom of the bowl and smooth out all the ridges until it's just about completely smooth. There'll be nothing left after I use the scraper, nothing left to do except smooth it even more with some abrasive sheets, some sandpaper. But that'll be the last step that I take. So right now, I'm going to spend a good 10 minutes or so smoothing out the bowl here as much as I can using this curved scraper. It will save me a lot of work in the end when it comes time to sand. We'll speed things up here and make this as painless as possible. And after I have this bowl to where I want it, I'll work on shaping the rest of the spoon. In other words, removing a lot of the stock from this workpiece until I have the shape that I'm looking for. And as I've done in the past, I'm going to let the handle flow out of the bowl and follow the grain. And you can see the grain on this stock kind of curves up and to the right and then back. And that's exactly the way I'm going to cut away the stock so that my handle will follow that grain and have a nice sweeping curve. I think that makes for an elegant and graceful looking spoon, and it's also pretty comfortable to use that way. Where the scraper is making contact with the wood, those are the lighter areas, and the darker areas are the depressions. So we'll just continue scraping along using the curved shape of this scraper to get a uniform curved shape in the bowl of the spoon, and we'll keep scraping along until we don't see any more dark areas, no more depressions. And we know then that our bowl is smooth. You can see that we make pretty good progress using this curved scraper. It's a good way to go. I think it's faster than sanding. And you also have the benefit of the shape of the scraper to help you create a symmetry in your bowl. After I've finished the bowl, and when it comes to removing the rest of the stock from this workpiece to reveal the final shape of my spoon, I'm going to begin with the bandsaw again and cut away a lot of the wood around the sides before I get to here, where I'm fine-tuning the shape with a handheld carving knife. Now we're almost finished, and we're down to the nitty-gritty, so I take very fine shavings at this point, being very careful, extra careful, not to pull the blade the wrong way through the grain and get tear out. I'm letting my blade glide across the surface, just trying to remove any high spots and refine the final shape of this spoon. And we're just about ready to move on to sandpaper. We'll begin with 80 grit abrasive sheets and go to 100, 120, 150, 220, 320, 400. And because this black walnut is a hard wood that will give us a very smooth surface, we'll finish up with 600 grit. And that will give us a finish that will feel silky smooth in your hand. It'll be a pleasure to hold. Okay, so here we have it. We've refined all the edges. We've sanded it all the way down till we got to 600 grit. And now we add some mineral oil. And just as it rolls around in the bowl here, you can start to see the chocolatey color and the grain come out. It's always a pleasure at this point to rub the oil into the spoon and see what that spoon has to reveal. Black walnut is a beautiful wood, and it gives us a truly beautiful spoon. Just look at the grain. Look at that rich, dark, chocolatey color. Every time I carve a spoon, I learn something, and I hope you have too. Thank you for watching.